Autistic people of Reddit, what do you wish more people knew about autism? Just because I can act normal a lot of the time does not mean that my autism doesn't affect me. The majority of my time spent with others is literally an act, and it's extremely mentally exhausting and emotionally draining to the point that I have frequent meltdowns when I'm finally alone and able to be myself again. This world wasn't made for me or people like me. When I work in customer service, my bosses think I'm the perfect employee. I'm genuinely nice, always doing my best, a quick worker. They don't realize I had multiple panic attacks before work and that when I get off I'm so drained I go home and cry. It's so hard to keep up the act of being a normal human to the point that I don't know how much longer I can do this. Edit. I just want to say I really did not expect this amount of replies to my comment, and reading all of them has helped me realize I'm not alone in this. I was under the impression I probably wouldn't do well anywhere, but I'm going to look into some of these other jobs that people recommend and hopefully I can get my life back. Something I wish my teachers knew when I was growing up: me avoiding eye contact doesn't mean I did whatever they accused me of, nor does it mean I don't feel sorry, and it's certainly not meant to be disrespectful. It's just that I don't do well with eye contact. Also, I know my social skills aren't the best, and I do try to work on them. But not telling me when I do something wrong and thinking the mere fact you're upset with me should lead me to realize what I did wrong and how to do it better instead of just telling me isn't fucking helping. I've accidentally made my boss really insecure of his hands because I tend to watch hands instead of eye contact. Haha. He stops waving them around and puts them behind his back and is like, wait, no, stop looking, it's my sleeves, isn't it? Every case is different. You can't just assume it's the same with every person. It feel like everyone thinks people like us are just all socially awkward, but it can be a lot more than that. For example, I have quite mild Asperger's syndrome and to most people I seem like everyone else, but I've met people with more severe cases that can't even speak and need constant help. Never assume every person with autism is the same. I wish more people understood how terrified I, and possibly others, are that it will bar us from jobs, opportunities and relationships, a normal life, because other people see us as lesser, as difficult / not worth managing or as broken. I feel like things are often harder just because people view me that way. It perpetuates itself. I worry when I tell people I'm autistic on a date that they're gonna bounce because they then think they're doing the equivalent to dating a toddler. We recently realized that my husband is on the spectrum somewhere. We have not gotten an office diagnosis, but instead of making me feel like he was less, it was like shining a light on all his issues and suddenly everything clicked into place. I love him and understand where he is coming from so much better now. I wish we had realized before now. We have 2 kids and he is the most amazing dad. Having autism doesn't make you childlike, it makes you different. If everyone was the same, the world would be boring. I hope you find someone who loves you for all of who you are. Edit. Wow. This blew up. I will try to respond to everyone as soon as possible. It is quite late here and I am nodding off. I'm pretty sure one of my coworkers is on the spectrum, and he brings skills to the team that none of the rest of us can. The way his mind works differently makes him a huge asset. This is honestly the main reason why I won't get an official diagnosis. At 32 I've figured out how to pass as normal well enough to finish school, get a decent job and live on my own. There is absolutely no benefit to me being diagnosed, only negatives. Edit. I'm getting responses saying that I'm not obligated to disclose a diagnosis so it wouldn't affect me. It will if I apply for government jobs, or ever want to get a pistol permit. CT requires background checks. I also work in insurance. You're required to disclose certain health conditions to get life insurance and autism is one of them. Disclosing a pre-existing condition, especially mental health, is basically a guaranteed table rating, meaning you'll be charged more. Obscenely more. Edit 2. Why do you think you have it? Because I was diagnosed with nonverbal learning disorder as a child. So it's documented that I have a general inability to read social cues and body language. This in itself isn't autism, but the fact that I had a speech impediment and major coordination issues as a child should have been a red flag to my school. I was also known to have meltdowns until I was 14. I learned recently that several family members including my older sister wanted me tested. But because my mother just got off, and the school was cheap, I was never tested. A lot of people with autism show no outward signs of it. One of your friends, co-workers etc. could be autistic and you'd never notice anything strange about them. Maybe they're a bit shy or awkward in certain settings, in my case group conversations, but nothing major. For those people, autism isn't necessarily a disability. As such, there would be no reason to treat them any differently than others even when you do find out they are on the spectrum. As a general rule of thumb, don't assume anything about an autistic person. Find out what they're like and respond appropriately. Don't assume they have the same strengths/struggles as your autistic nephew or an autistic celebrity or whatever. Edit. I should probably clarify that I am only speaking for a specific group within the community here, people who don't want or need special treatment, be it from friends or people with authority, just because they have autism. As an autistic person, that's how I feel. But there are also a lot of people with autism who depend on special treatment and couldn't survive without it, especially people with low-functioning autism. It's a very broad spectrum. I never meant to imply that autism as a whole is not a disability. Personally, I think low-functioning autism should be its own separate disorder with its own name, because it would avoid this kind of confusion, but that's a whole other discussion. In a professional setting I am excellent. I can do group meetings, talk with the VP like I can with a coworker, do projects, get shit done on time, excellent. Professionalism is my best mask. However, with anything personal, complete shutdown. Thoughts like oh god what the fuck do I say, I have no idea how to answer people. I know what they want, I'm very good at inferring and reading people, but it always feels like answering them, to give them a response they will always like, is disingenuous. At the same time I don't want to be rude, especially if I just met the person. Even if they don't know I'm just answering with what they're looking for, it still feels rude to me. So basically, I answer like a fucking calculator. I know what they want so I answer accordingly. I can't answer from the heart. I just can't do it. It feels, somehow, physically wrong and unbearably embarrassing. I know it gets better with practice, but even that is hard. All my responses are learned, again, based on what people expect. I don't have natural reactions of my own, because my natural reaction would be to ask questions, but the usual correct response would be to make a joke or have a comment of your own or something. Normally I don't say anything unless I have something to say, and I rarely ever do. It's a very concentrated effort to come up with and execute banter at the same time. Socializing is so difficult and draining, there is not a moment I can relax or I'll just act weird again. To bring it full circle though, I don't show outward signs besides being quiet and weird, but to not appear like that requires supreme effort. Edit. I probably wasn't clear why I feel like this. More details here. There are some people who I've known for 20 years that didn't believe me when they found out I was autistic. There are other people who have given me the, holy shit everything makes so much more sense now comment when they found out. Other people have asked me pretty quickly. To some people it's obvious. To some people their perception of what an autistic person seems like is skewed by TV and movies or generalizations. And some people you can know them their entire lives and never have any idea. One easy way to tell I am, is that when I'm passionate about something, I use way too many words to say simple things like, all autistic people are different. You know, like I did with this comment. While other autistic people may say the simple thing and leave you wondering. We have feelings, we have empathy. You don't look autistic is not a compliment. Telling us everyone is a little autistic doesn't help. Oh my god thank you. I've been trying to express this and I didn't know how to put it into words. Autistic kids grow into autistic adults. Just because we get better at not showing out autism doesn't mean we've grown out of it, as many people think. It just means we've been forced to hide part of ourselves to fit in and oftentimes it comes at the cost of being able to fulfill all of our needs, or hell, even just being ourselves. Edit. I don't want to do the typical thing and be like thanks for karma. So I figure I ought to share some helpful resources. The Aspergian is a really great website written by Aspies and other neurodivergent folk for Aspies and other types of ness. They have a lot of stuff relating to issues dealt with when you're on the spectrum as an adult in regards to symptoms, interaction, relationships, etc. and they also promote autistic artists as well. And Special Books by Special Kids is a really good channel with interviews with people of all abilities, including things like autism, ADHD, etc., as well as physical stuff too. It's a pretty great way to learn more about other people and how they want to be treated, as well as how they live their lives. Of all the answers here this one hits me the most. I know how to act normal for the most part. But I'm 100% aware it's just an act, and often feels like being trapped inside someone else's body. It's really soul-crushing honestly. Laughing at me when I'm expressing happiness instantly makes me unhappy. I knew a guy who went to my college for a couple of years with Asperger's, who really liked rocks. He would occasionally approach me and start talking about them and I'd listen sometimes when I didn't need to go somewhere, because I could see just how happy they made him. But I also witnessed many times where people were unnecessarily mean to him. There were some people that thought of him as a novelty and would feign friendship and feed him alcohol, just because they thought it was funny when he was drunk. Looking back, I wish I would have done more to help him out and stop them. I remember one day before he left I went to the gym for a run and all the treadmills were taken, so I went to the indoor track that was hardly used. About 10 minutes into my run, he comes in with his mom and goes into the middle of the track with her. He starts showing her these various sword fighting techniques that he had learned, because apparently he was really into that too. Then he notices me as I'm doing a lap and eagerly waves. I wave back and he motions me to come. So, I took out my earbuds and jogged over. He introduced me to his mom as his friend. I could tell it made her really happy too that he had a friend and he was really happy too. I had only briefly talked to him a few times, but I did my best to be as friendly as I could be. After a few minutes, I excused myself, saying that I had to get going, so I left. That was pretty much the last time I saw him, because he left school shortly after. He was a really nice guy that most people just misunderstood, and looking back I wish I had tried to get to know him better. Sorry for rambling, what you said just reminded me of him and his love of rocks. That's nice of you, dude. I'm sure that meant a lot to him. Too bad that so many people find it hard to treat anyone who is a bit socially different with normal friendliness. 99% of representations are absolute bullshit. If you really want to know how to deal with an autistic person, ask the autistic person. It's so easy. And preferably ask 50 of us because the symptoms can wildly differ from a person to another, too. I once heard if you've met one autistic person, then you met one autistic person. I think that summarizes that perfectly. None of us are the same. That's what makes it a spectrum. Autism Speaks are the PETA of autism. And they spread a lot of lies about autism because those lies create fear and that fear earns them money. Edit. Wow, my first gold. Thank you. Thanks for all the awards. Also my favorite video explaining why Autism Speaks sucks https://m.youtube.com/watch. V equals EZ936R2F35U and T equals 185S. Autism Speaks should be forced to rename itself We Speak Over Autistic People. To add to this, if you feel the desire to donate towards autistic people, the Autism Self-Advocacy Network is the way to go, but as an autist I'd say the money might be more needed in causes fighting climate change right now. Subscribe for more amazing stories. I said subscribe now. Otherwise this will open the door and eat you when you are asleep.